The morning started like any other at the ABC News studio. Producers bustled behind the scenes, adjusting earpieces, checking lighting, and running through the segment rundown. The day's highlight was supposed to be a celebratory interview with none other than Chaka Khan, the Queen of Funk, who was there to promote a new project and reflect on her remarkable 50-year career. The atmosphere hummed with anticipation. Chaka wasn't just a guest, she was a living legend, a woman whose voice had defined eras. As the cameras rolled and the host, Debora Roberts, welcomed Chaka onto the set, everything seemed poised for a smooth, uplifting conversation. Debora's tone was warm, her questions carefully scripted to flow from nostalgia to present triumphs. At first, Chaka played along with charm, her laugh filling the studio as she recalled early performances, her days with Rufus, and the grind of being a black woman breaking barriers in the music industry. Her energy was magnetic, and the audience leaned in to absorb every word. But Debora, a seasoned journalist with a reputation for probing interviews, wasn't satisfied with just feel-good nostalgia. After a series of softball questions, she pivoted into more sensitive territory. With her trademark measured voice, she asked about Chaka's outspoken reputation, her history of calling out younger artists, her candid criticism of the modern music scene, and even whispers of personal struggles that tabloids had long sensationalized. That was the spark that shifted the air in the room. Chaka's eyes narrowed slightly, her lips curling into a smirk that was equal parts amusement and warning. She leaned back in her chair, tilting her head as though sizing up whether to swat the question away or to confront it head-on. The pause stretched long enough that everyone in the studio, audience, crew, even Debora, felt the weight of what might come next. "See, this is what y'all like to do," Chaka said finally, her deep, velvety voice filling the silence. "I came here to talk about my music, my joy, my journey. But you want to dig up drama. That's not why I'm here." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Debora, keeping her composure, leaned forward. "Chaka, I understand, but your journey includes not just the highs, it's also about the challenges. Don't you think being open about those parts makes your story even more inspiring to your fans?" Her words were calm, but to Chaka, they rang hollow, another polished journalist's attempt to package her life into a digestible segment. The legend's expression hardened. "Inspiring," she repeated, her tone sharp as glass. "Honey, I don't need you to frame my life in your words. I've lived it, I've survived it, I don't need anyone twisting it for ratings." The crowd gasped audibly, a ripple of shock breaking the tension. Debora's smile faltered just enough for the cameras to catch it. Behind the scenes, producers were signaling wildly, should they cut to commercial, or let this play out? But the moment was already bigger than any plan. Chaka wasn't yelling, she didn't have to. Her voice carried the weight of decades, of triumphs and betrayals, of victories won against the odds. She leaned forward now, her presence commanding the studio. "You want viral moments, you got one, but don't ever try to reduce me to a soundbite on your show. I am not your headline, I'm Chaka Khan." The studio audience broke into murmurs, some nodding, some stunned silent. Debora tried to steady the tone. "Chaka, I promise you, I'm not here to reduce you. I'm here to celebrate you." But the fire had already been lit. Chaka straightened her posture, her voice resonating like a thunderclap. "Celebrate me, then let me tell my truth without you trying to rewrite it. Don't box me in for TV. Don't act like my pain is just another talking point. I came here for love, not interrogation." The room was alive with tension now, the kind that made people lean forward in their seats, eyes glued to the stage. Phones were already sneaking up from the audience to record clips. Within minutes, those recordings would be online, trending worldwide before the segment even ended. Debora, to her credit, didn't break character. She nodded slightly, her voice still even, though her eyes betrayed the storm she was holding back. "Your truth is powerful, Chaka. Maybe we can meet in the middle." But Chaka wasn't finished. "Middle," she scoffed. "There's no middle when it comes to me. Either you accept me as I am, uncut, unfiltered, or you don't get me at all." The silence that followed was deafening. Every camera lens zoomed in, catching the fire in Chaka's gaze and the tension etched across Debora's face. Producers, frozen in their headsets, knew they were watching television history in the making. The interview had started as a celebration, but now it had transformed into something raw, unpredictable, and explosive. And with every word, it became clear, Chaka wasn't backing down. The second half of the interview began with an energy that no producer could have scripted. Chaka Khan was no longer just a guest sitting across from Debora Roberts, she had become a force of nature, the center of a live storm unfolding on national television. The audience, once polite and composed, was now caught between holding its breath and erupting in applause whenever Chaka delivered one of her fiery truths. Phones continued to rise discreetly, capturing every moment for the world beyond the studio walls. Debora, though rattled, attempted to steady the conversation. She leaned in, her voice calm, her posture professional, hoping to regain control. "Chaka," she said softly, "we admire your honesty. But don't you think your fans want to hear the full story? The triumphs and the struggles. It's not about ratings, it's about showing people the strength behind your journey." Chaka laughed, but it wasn't a laugh of amusement, it was the kind of laugh that carried fire, disbelief, and defiance all at once. "Strength? Baby, my strength isn't for you to dissect on live TV. My fans know me. They know my truth because I give it to them straight in every note I sing, in every lyric I pour my soul into. I don't need to sit here and hand you my scars like they're souvenirs for your show." The crowd gasped, then some clapped. A murmur of support echoed across the studio. Debora, her jaw tightening ever so slightly, pressed on, "But Chaka, don't you think by speaking openly, you could inspire even more people? Isn't that what this platform is about?" That was the moment the dam broke. Chaka leaned forward, her eyes burning into Debora's, her voice low but vibrating with power. "Inspire? I've been inspiring people for 50 damn years. I don't need you, or this chair, or these lights, to validate that. You want to talk about a platform? I am the platform. Without me and artists like me paving the way, you wouldn't even have half the stories you tell on this show." The audience erupted into cheers, applause booming through the studio. Some people even stood, clapping wildly as if they were at one of Chaka's concerts. Debora, however, maintained her composure, though her eyes betrayed the sting of the words. She tried to pivot once again, her voice steady, but tinged with tension. "Chaka, I think you misunderstand my intentions. This was never about exploiting your story. It was about honoring it." Chaka shook her head slowly, her signature curls bouncing as she spoke with razor precision. "You can't honor me while you're trying to control the narrative. You can't honor me by dragging up things have moved past just to give your audience a little gasp. You can clap all you want, but I know the game. Y'all want controversy, not celebration. Well, guess what, you got it, but on my terms." It was raw, unfiltered, and undeniable. The producers in the control room were frozen, hands hovering over switches, but none dared cut away. They knew this was television history, something that would dominate headlines, debates, and social media for weeks. Chaka then turned directly to the cameras, addressing not Debora anymore, but the millions watching at home. "Let me tell you something," she said, her voice booming with conviction. "Don't let anybody, no host, no producer, no so-called authority, decide how your story should be told. Your truth is yours. Don't water it down. Don't shrink it to fit someone else's script. Stand in it, live it, own it. That's what I've done my whole life, and that's why I'm still here." The audience roared in approval, some even shouting her name. Debora, visibly rattled now, pressed her lips together, nodding, but offering no further interruption. For once, the polished journalist seemed small compared to the blazing presence across from her. Chaka wasn't done. "You know, for years I've been underestimated, misunderstood, even mocked for speaking my mind. But let me make it clear, this mouth, this voice, this fire, it's what kept me alive. And if you can't handle the heat, then maybe you shouldn't be sitting across from me." The studio audience gave her a standing ovation, their energy fueling hers. Debora, caught in the glare of Chaka's words, offered a diplomatic smile, but it was clear she had been outmatched. The balance of power in the room had shifted completely, and Chaka Khan now commanded it like a general on the battlefield. Finally, as the segment wound down, Chaka stood up, not storming off but rising with pride and finality. She looked at Debora, then at the crowd, then back into the camera. "I came here to celebrate my music, my journey, my legacy. And that's exactly what I've done. I don't need to answer to anyone, not now, not ever. Remember that." With that, she lifted her chin and walked off the set, her presence so commanding that the audience rose again in applause, clapping and cheering as though they had just witnessed a performance rather than an interview. The cameras struggled to follow her exit, capturing her silhouette as she disappeared behind the curtains, her words still echoing through the studio. Debora sat silently for a moment, her professional mask barely intact, before the producers finally cut to commercial. But it was too late, the moment had already gone viral. Social media lit up with clips, hashtags, and debates. Some hailed Chaka as a queen reclaiming her crown, others criticized her for being too much. But everyone agreed. This was a cultural earthquake, and the aftershocks would be felt for a long time. By the end of the day, headlines dominated every platform. Chaka Khan erupts on ABC News. And though the world argued over who was right or wrong, one truth was undeniable: Chaka had once again reminded the world why she was, and always would be, a legend too powerful to contain.